Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahabati ajma'een. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. And we welcome you once again to the evening sessions that we have live online on the CMC platform. We're told by the Prophet alayhi salam that لِلصَّائِمِ farhatan, that for the fasting person there are two joyous moments. Farhatun inda iftarihi, a joyous moment at the time of iftar, wa farhatun inda liqa'i rabbihi, and a joyous moment when he meets with his Lord. And if we just spend a moment and reflect on that, we think the fact that a believer at the time of opening his fast, breaking his fast, there's an immense joy. The fact that Allah has blessed us with being able to eat and to drink. For us, this is a momentary fast. It's not going to be something that goes on for more than the hours that are set in the timetable. And we know that we're looking forward to a certain hour, and at that certain hour we can then eat, and there's a joy that comes over us. There's an appreciation of having that food. The food tastes different even. There's something about that food which is different from the same food we may eat on other days. And so there's an immense joy that we have. But the joy that we have should be in the fact of us having fasted, not in the fact of us about to eat the food. Because that's when we say that, when we hear that there's the sunnah of hastening to break your fast, our desire should be to follow the sunnah, not because the hastening is a hastening toward the food, it's a hastening toward an act of worship. And the second moment of joy is when the believer meets with Allah. What a beautiful beautiful expectation that we can have. The joy isn't just for this world, it comes afterwards. And so we're told by Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali in his great work, Lata'if al-Isharat, that patience is of three types. Patience that you have in relation to the acts of worship and obedience toward Allah. Patience that we have in relation to staying away from those things which Allah has made haram. And patience as decree unfolds, because there are parts of decree that can be painful. And Ramadan, of fasting, just the act of fasting, contains all of those instances of patience. We are patient because it is a worshipful act. It's an act of obedience. We are patient because now it's not just that we are staying away from those things that Allah has made haram for us, but now we're even staying away from those things which ordinarily are halal for us. Can't have them, have to stop. And the third type of patience that Ramadan contains is the unfolding of Allah's decree, because there's aspects of that decree that are painful for us in Ramadan. The fact that we may have hunger pangs, the fact that it may pain us to not be able to drink water, especially for those people who are working in warmer climes. So fasting contains all of these aspects of patience. It's not like other acts of worship, you see. We cannot speed up the fast. We can speed up the prayer. We can speed up when we go to Umrah. We can go around the tawaf around the Kaaba 7 times, and we can, really hasten it. The sa'i, we can do that, right? You can speed up those. You cannot speed up the fast. We're bound by the movements of the celestial spheres. Nothing we can do. You have to have patience. That's why patience and Ramadan are so bound together, and that's why that joy is so clear for when we do break our fast, and inshallah when we do meet Allah. And so the garden, inshallah, that we intend to maybe stroll through today is the garden referred to by Al-Imam An-Nawawi as as-sidq, veracity or truthfulness. And the term sidq is it's an idea that tells us about someone, a person who exists inwardly in the same way that he exists outwardly. There is no difference. That person's public affairs and that person's private affairs are the same. There's nothing for this person to be afraid of. That were something to be made manifest that he does in private, he doesn't have to worry, because he knows that this person knows that their private life is just the same as their public life. What you see inside is what you see outside, and what you see outside is reflected in the inner state. For instance, someone may look like they are God-centered on the outside, but the internal reality of that is that the case when we really look into ourselves? We may be comporting ourselves in a way which looks religious, but is that who we truly are? Our actions may be different from what we actually believe. That's why we, in one sense, people are not even sincere anymore in how they sin. People sin based on not sincerity of belief, but because of desires. If someone believes in the fact of their sin, those people who, when they become Muslim, they are sincere in Islam. And that's a hadith. خيركم في الإسلام خيركم في الجاهلية إن فقهوا أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. That the best of you in Islam are the best of you who are in Jahiliyyah. Why? Because even your Jahiliyyah was based on a sincerity in what you were doing, rather than just having shahawat, desires, just being that's just base animal behavior. We're not believing it, it's just wherever our desires are leading us, not because we're believing in something per se. And so this idea of sidq, where your inward and your outward are one. What you believe inwardly is outwardly manifested. That's why then we see that the term tasaddaqa, which is a fifth form verb in Arabic, then becomes the act of sidq. It becomes a sign. Tasaddaqa means to give charity. Because to give charity can be difficult, especially when you fear poverty. But we are promised that your wealth will never be decreased by giving sadaqah. And so sadaqah is linked to the act of being truthful. Because that's ayah in the Quran, min al-mu'minina rijal sadaqu ma'ahadullah alayh. That from amongst the believers, there's a group of people, what does Allah tell us about them? That they were truthful to the covenant that they took with Allah. They fought, and this is referring to those who are martyred at Uhud. They laid down their lives. They were truthful to what they believed. When the time came, they stood up to be counted. That's Muslims. We're people who we stand up and we're counted. And so isn't it interesting that the word in Arabic for friend is sadiq? Because a true friend is, and someone who can really only be a true friend, is someone who is honest and transparent with us. That his good intentions toward us or towards his friends, that the what's inside him of his intentions manifests outside in his good character and his good conduct with his friend. It shouldn't be the case that we have outwardly a friend who says that they like us, who says that they care for us, but inwardly they don't feel the same way, because one day that will be shown up. Someone who doesn't reciprocate that, someone for whom that friendship is nothing more than just words, that will be shown up one day. And that's why true friends, it's not something which is easy to find. Someone who really cares about you internally and how they act towards us. And here we can also see that that's linked to good character. People with bad character will always struggle to make friends, because no one wants to be friends with someone who has bad character. That doesn't mean people can't have lapses in character. We all have lapses. But just someone who becomes known that that person has bad character. With such a person, people don't want to be around. And again, it's no surprise, and it's very interesting that the Prophet's alayhi salam, that his best friend, he's referred to as a siddiq, a more intensified form of sidq, a more intensified form of truthfulness. He heard from his best friend when he said, I am a prophet sent by Allah. He didn't have to say, you are truthful, I believe you. He is truthful in relation to his best friend, and he's truthful in relation to Allah. That's Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu arda. And so we're told by about Sayyidina Abu Bakr that if he were in the gathering of the Prophet alayhi salam, he wouldn't look anywhere else. His gaze would just be at the Prophet alayhi salam. That's true depth of friendship, true love for your friend. And so Imam al-Nawawi mentions in his beautiful collection of hadith in relation to sidq, a hadith which is narrated by Sayyiduna Hassan, the grandson of the Prophet alayhi salam, who narrates on the authority of his father, Sayyiduna Ali, karramallahu wajhahu, that he says, حفظت من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, that I memorized a set of words or a hadith or a counsel from the Prophet عليه السلام, the following: دع ما يريبك إلى ما لا يريبك فإن الصدق طمأنينة وإن الكذب ريبة. That leave that which occasions you to doubt something or occasions agitation in you for that which does not occasion or cause you to doubt. Because you see, the nature of how Allah has created us is that we are our hearts find repose and tranquility in the things which Allah has made beloved to us, in the things which Allah has made beloved to Him. And that's why we're told in Surah Al-Hujurat that those who truly believe, these things such as al-kufr, وَكَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمْ الْكُفْرَ وَالْفَسُوقَ وَالْعُسْيَانِ, that kufr and hypocrisy and sinning, these things have been made something which the believer truly, even though he may engage in sinning, he feels agitation in his heart, you see. And so those are the things that we're being told to leave. Why? Because the mere act of something which is not good, or it may be a sin, it agitates us. And things which agitate us, they cause us to have suspicion. And why? Because we're not certain about them. That's why raib is doubt. And something which is doubtful, it causes us to have agitation. And when we're agitated, we become suspicious. And when we become suspicious, it's just a slippery slope after that. We're told we work in certainties only. How beautiful is that? Because if we work on certainties, we'd know that everyone has an excuse. Again, we fall, but we should remind ourselves that that's where we want to get to. And so then the Prophet ﷺ continues in this hadith and tells us that certainly sidq, veracity, truthfulness, sidq, occasions tranquility, repose in one's heart. فَإِنَّ الصِّدْقَ طُمَأْنِينَةٌ. And al-kadhib, which is to lie or to be untruthful, it occasions disquiet or agitation. Such a beautiful piece. And again, look at the names of the Prophet ﷺ prior to the revelation coming at Hira. He is known as As-Sadiq Al-Amin. Is it not the case, As-Sadiq, the one who is truthful, that he brings, because we're being told in this hadith that truthfulness brings tranquility to our hearts? Is it not the case that the Prophet ﷺ brings repose to our hearts? When we read about him, when we think about him, is it not the case that we have that repose? Of course it is. And so these two traits are so important, because the first is when the inward and the outward are the same, nothing to hide, from which it follows then that one can be trusted. Al-Amin, that's the one with whom they would place their trusts. And Aman, this word Amin, comes from a root word Aman, which is security. And so not only is he truthful and trustworthy, but he is giving us security. Security from what? From the hellfire. That's Iman. It's amazing how words are so beautifully interlinked. And in this sense, we can see that the nature of just language in Arabic, how the words themselves tell us and express to us realities about things. So if we take the word ilm, for example, in Arabic, alima, it means to know something. But what's really interesting is if you rearrange those three letters, alima, it will give you amila. Same three letters, just rearrange them. What does amila in Arabic means? It means to act. And then if you rearrange those very three same letters again, it will give you lama'a, which means to shine. Look at the unfolding. If you have knowledge and you act on it, you will shine. The words are there telling us the true nature of how things actually are. And we can have many, many such examples. Take the word bahar in Arabic. Bahar means the ocean. What's the nature of the ocean? Well, let's see. Rearrange the words. When you rearrange the words, you have rahab or rahiba, which means to welcome. So the ocean can be welcoming. But if you rearrange the words again, the same three letters, I beg your pardon, not words, if you rearrange the same three letters again, you will have harb, because that's the oceans, they can either be welcoming or be hazardous, like a war. beautiful how the language itself explains things to us. Let's take the word shajara in Arabic, a tree. Is it just a fact? Is it just a mere fact of us saying shajara? We've assigned a sound to this object? No. There's a deep connection between the word and the object itself, such that they say in Arabic, if you have a word ordinarily, Ibn Jinni in Khasais mentions this, that if you have a word in Arabic which begins with the letter sheen, sha'ara, it means tafashi, it means something is spreading out. So let's take some examples. Shams. Shams begins with a sheen. What happens? The light of the sun spreads out. Shu'a is light itself, it spreads out. Shajara is a tree, its leaves and branches spread out, right? Shar, evil, what's it? It spreads out, right? Shadara, which on the fifth form means to be scattered. Shadi is a fragrance on the fifth again. Shadaqa on the fifth form means to announce something. Shahuma means to become a little bit overweight, spreading out a little bit. It's incredible. So look, sheen. And then the jim, they say that if it comes in the middle of a word, it means something which has an idea of solidity to it. And ra in Arabic is what's called harf takrar, repeats itself again and again and again. And look at the word shajara. Is it not describing the tree? Its leaves and its branches are spread out. It has a trunk which is firm, the jim in the middle, and the ra is takrar. You find it everywhere. That's why our souls are tuned in to Allah communicating with us through the Arabic language in the Quran. Even though we may not understand it cognitively, our souls understand. That's why we can be so moved by listening to Arabic, by listening to the Quran. We may weep and we're thinking, wow, we don't even understand. Well, how can we be made to weep? Because there's something that's deeply connecting inside us. There's an underlying unity and structure to the language. Again, let's take another word, shakal. Shakal means an outward appearance. It comes, the word mushkil comes from the same root word. Mushkil is a difficulty or a problem. What's really interesting, how these two words relate, that in a mushkil, in a problem situation, your true shakal comes out. Right? What sort of a person are we? So again, Arabic really reveals to us the nature of things in and of themselves. And so coming back to the idea of sidq, we are told that it's of three types, three levels, if you like. There's a sidq where we have in relation to our actions. That's the lowest level of sidq, when we should try to make sure that our actions are truthful in relation to other people. And then there's a sidq that we have toward our own selves, which is our internal states, to make sure that we are inwardly as we proclaim to be outwardly. And how we want to be inwardly is manifesting itself outwardly. And the third level is when our entire being is only directed toward Allah, what they call the level of the elect of the elect. And so these are the journeys that Imam An-Nawawi wants us to understand, that those people who are living in this garden that we've been speaking about for the past few days, all of these ideas that we're speaking about, sabr and sidq, for instance, that we took today, and then inshallah in the coming days, taqwa and tawakkul and shukr and rida. These are all qualities that we'll find in the people that are present in this garden with us. So alhamdulillah, Allah bless you all. Thank you for joining today. If there are any questions, please go ahead. Beautiful question here. Walaikum salam. To what extent is fasting about developing cognizance about humanity's potential? By fasting we see our God. And that's said, there's a hadith, تخلقوا بآداب الله, that to try to take on qualities which reflect something which is, of course we have to be careful how we word this in English, because we can't say God-like, because clearly we're khalq and he is khaliq. But really, like you're saying, it demonstrates to us at least, or opens a window of the potential that we have as human beings, because we recognize things in moments of difficulty that we didn't realize that were really in us. And that's something that we don't tap into that often. We should be a people who are not people of comfort. And that doesn't mean that we should ask for hardship, Of course it doesn't. But as Sayyidina Umar said, Ain al-Mushammirun, that where are the people who roll their sleeves up? Because we need people who roll their sleeves up and do hard work, because this world, as we're told in many, many places in the Quran, it's a place of test. Does this mean that by merely reciting the Quran we can get a sense of its meaning, kind of taste it as we make the sounds in our mouths when you right, exactly. That's it. There's a connection taking place, even were people not to understand the language of the Quran, that they're connecting to it at a very deep level. Or you can look at it the other way: someone who understands Arabic fluently, so they know the words, but they're not connecting to it. Why? Because they're not present. Their hearts are not present. But someone who may not know the language, but is sincerely standing in front of Allah, that person is connecting at a very, very deep level. And look at the mercy of Allah. Look at this wondrous, miraculous thing that He's given us, the Quran, that when we read it, we are really connecting in a cosmic way with the message of Allah. Naam. Salman wanted your friend ask, if you are hungry, can you say no even though you are, in order to ease their burden so they can use the resources for themselves? If you are hungry. Yes, and that's something, inshallah, that we're going to come across in hopefully one of our future sessions, I think next week, toward the end of next week, which is this idea, one of the most foundational ideas in our deen, which is ithar, preferring others over yourself. And this is, again, a constant message and a constant idea that we take from the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, how he constantly prefers other people over himself, until the day of judgment, when everyone will be running and wondering, who can I turn to? No one can say it's about me. Everyone's looking for help from someone else. And the Prophet ﷺ says, Ana laha, today is my day. That same being who in the world preferred others over his own self, the day that when it matters now, he can say, Ana. That's the only time we hear that from him. Tabarakallah. As young as you can to learn Arabic, of course. The younger they are, they're sponges. They really just absorb the language. So Allah give him tawfiq. Would it amount to lying if you were to say you're not hungry? I mean, it's relative hunger. So you can, of course, and lying is not something that we partake in. But we can be economical with the way that what we're trying to say, and that's why we're not absolutists when it comes to those ideas. For example, we're told in our books and in our ethics, for instance, that is lying something which is totally forbidden as an act in and of itself. And clearly we know that if someone were with a big knife running after someone, and that person came and took refuge in your house and says, where is that person I'm looking to kill? You're not going to say, oh, he just ran into my bathroom. You're going to say he just ran off somewhere else. So it's situational, but of course that doesn't mean, and doesn't ordinarily, there have to be very, very specific circumstances where that can happen. Alhamdulillah. Allah bless you all. Thank you so much. It's a great honor, great blessing. Again, so happy to see all of you here from so many different parts of the world joining the CMC family for the online classes in Ramadan. We hope that you keep us all in your prayers. Remember us at the times, at those special and blessed times in this month, inshallah. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, when inshallah we'll be speaking about muraqabah, vigilance, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuhu.